All right, welcome back, wine lovers, winos, and the curious. I'm Tom Som, and I'm here, and I want to thank Chef Drew for inviting me here to Shima Almirada, Shima Sushi and Champagne,
Yes,
which
sir.
is, I think, the premier sushi restaurant in the area, in Almirada. And I'm more than lucky to be with three great co-hosts today. I've got Sharon here.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
And we've got co-owner and Chef Junior and the hitman, Chef Emilio, coming in for action today. And we're going to try some fun things. Everybody's coming in saying hello. Thank you guys very much for having me. Really appreciate it. And we're going to have some fun with New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. And I mean, New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, it's just a unique to the Sauvignon Blanc world. Really came on the scene probably 25, 30 years ago. Before that, you really didn't see a lot of it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it burst onto the scene, and it was so different from the Sauvignon Blancs that we were getting from the Loire, from Bordeaux, from California, even Chile. Chile was coming up, into the scene then with their Carmenere, and all of a sudden they've got some good, Sauvignon Blancs, and then New Zealand comes in, and their Sauvignon Blancs are so different than everybody else's. It was very eye-opening, and obviously they established a name for themselves, and now when you look on programs, and well, your programs now, New Zealand, you have to have New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs in there because
Everybody's asking about it.
exactly, and that's what it's all about. Really, is customer satisfaction. My issue with New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs is that in most restaurants, most regular restaurants, I would say, New Zealand's Sauvignon Blancs are a cocktail wine. They're great, they're refreshing, they're vibrant, but they're so bold that they overpower some of the food items that you would think normally they would pair with, like a fish dish or even seafood dishes, shrimp, etc. They're kind of meant to be on their own until you pair them with vibrant flavors, like
sir.
you guys have. You guys have some amazing flavors. We're going to try them with some really cool stuff today. So let's go a little bit into a fun fact about Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc is one of the parent grapes of Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yes, sir.
And that is just something that, when I first found that out years ago when I was studying, I was like, well, that's kind of crazy. Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Franc. Basically, it's a natural process of crossbreeding, with pollination. And Cabernet Sauvignon, the king of grapes,
That's what you get.
gets created, which is a lot of fun. I mean, it's just amazing. It's one of those fun facts that I love to bring up. People don't realize that. They're like, how do these grapes get all the names and the different styles? And it's a natural process, really.
Yeah.
And a brief history of it, I told you a little bit about Bordeaux, the Loire Valley. That's where we originally saw it. The name comes from the fact that sauvage, it means wild, and blanc, white. So they were just grapes growing wild in that part of France, and they ended up being being the ones that make great wine.
Yep.
And that's what's really so much fun about it. It's just that there's other ones now that have been cultivated, and there's crossbreeding going on. You see a lot of it in the U.S. now, where they're breeding different grapes back and forth, trying to create things that are perfect for the regions. I mean, there's regions like Texas right now that's really starting to make a name for itself with all sorts of crazy grapes.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Western New York, Finger Lakes, and they have a lot of indigenous grapes that they use there, as well as Riesling, Chardonnays. Cabernet Franc is very popular there. It does well in that region. Long Island, Virginia. I mean, you start looking around the U.S. and there's all these regions that are really starting to get recognized. And it used to be when I started 100 years ago in the business.
Yeah.
You know, when I was designing wine programs, it was Europe and California, and then maybe a little bit from Oregon, and we didn't even have Washington State wines really on the list back when I started.
Back then.
And now they've really grown into that. But it's just a lot of fun. We're going to taste it together and talk about this because is this a wine that you picked out for your program?
Yes, this is one of our wines, and this is a 2024 Sauvignon Blanc St. Clair Dillon's Point, which that's the region where it gets from. It's also, so again, from New Zealand, everyone. Very nice, very light, crisp, also with some tropical aromas and notes, and it's a twist up.
Well, and the fun thing about a twist top, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, the New Zealand Wine Council actually requires them to have twist tops instead of corks.
It's better for freshness.
Better for freshness, better for preserving the wine. In the last, I think it was the last show I was talking about this, is that regular natural corks have a 5 to 8% failure rate.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the bacteria that gets into it that causes a corked wine.
Yep.
And the last thing you want is you're all excited, you've been saving this wine for a while, you pop the cork, you pour it in, you smell it, and it smells like moldy cardboard.
Right. And that's what a lot of people are really looking for. When you know wines, when you pop a cork and people just pick it up, they're not. Some of them are just trying to impress their friends, but really it's just what you're looking for is that bacterial smell on the cork.
Right.
So, and then
Yeah, and then seeing how the cork is pliable and streaks on it for reds. You know, we talked about that last week when I was at what was that last week at Connecut with Craig Sobransky and Justina, the charcuterie queen, and we had a fun time there sitting out, you know, in their little garden and we tried Chocolina last week, and it's something I'm kind of turning people on to because it's just a fun, especially down here. You know, we're down in the Florida Keys. Chocolina is a great wine. When it's warm, it's got a little spritz to it. It's fleshy, so it's got a softness to it on the palate. So it's kind of fun. But we're not talking about that today. We're going back to this New Zealand wine. So let's, talking about the French and the California styles. They're generally more citrus fruits. They have a hay or light straw aroma to it. You go to New Zealand and all of a sudden the world gets turned upside down, right?
Yes,
So there's no mild, there's no light citrusy fruits. I mean, you get everything from, like this one when you told me about it. You said this has guava, pineapple in it, passion fruits. I mean, fun stuff like that. You see a lot of gooseberry, grapefruit in New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs. So very, very different than what you would normally expect from a classic style. And that's what makes it different. It's what makes it so popular, I think. And the one reason why I wanted to do it this week too is because on Monday we've got Cinco de Mayo coming up, and if you're going to drink white wine, that's the wine to drink with all that fun food that you're going to have on Monday.
yes.
So
Especially the high acidity of this cuts the taste of avocado, which we use here for the sushi.
Nice.
And definitely Cinco de Mayo, you're going to have a lot of guac.
that's awesome. Cheers. Cheers. Let's give this one a little shot here. To just the herbal grass. That's one thing, that blind tasting that I was taught years ago. As soon as you put your nose up to one of these, just the grassy herbal characteristic of New Zealand is just so, it's so telltale.
It smells amazing.
Yeah, it smells awesome. Then you get your fruit flavors underneath it.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and like we were talking about, this could definitely easily be a cocktail wine where we're just sitting back, we got our toes in the sand, we're watching the sun, we're watching the boats go by.
This is a good one for that. Yeah, absolutely.
But like I said, what we're do today, we've got with the crack team back here working on it. I can see them working on it right now. We're going to try it with some food that will actually work with it and not get overwhelmed, which is just, I think it's just so. it's so unique and so important that you pair correctly. So that's a lot of fun. Let's go back to, I'm going to go back to a few more historical highlights to give everybody, since this is part education and then part big fun and part food. Sauvignon Blanc's lineage can be traced to the southwest of France, where it thrived in the temperate climate in the limestone-rich soils. Migration to the New World, it found its way to the New World in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, thriving in countries like New Zealand, the United States, and Chile. One thing that I found out, I think these guys were one of the first growers. I don't know if I read that right. They were one of the first 10 growers in the region to plant this grape.
Okay.
In a region which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And they started, this winery's basically started in 1994.
1990.
And you know, obviously they've been around for 30 years now. And you know, when you get into that, there's, you know, I was lucky enough to go through the 90s, you know, 80s, 90s, and beyond, learning about wine and seeing how it's evolved and finding fun stuff like regions like Chile and New Zealand that really started stepping onto the world stage.
Yes.
Which was really cool. You know, when I was first trying wines, Australia, it was the first time that Shiraz or Syrah,
Yes.
you know, made a huge mark. It was rated, Penfolds was rated 100 points. It was the first time the Shiraz or Shiraz grape was rated that, and it really just blasted Australia onto the map and put it in front of everybody. When all the critics start saying, "Wow, there's something to the way they're growing it and the climate that they're growing it in," and to be able to see that through, and even regions that were getting their feet settled, like South Africa,
Yeah.
and some of the fun stuff that was coming out there. One of my shows I did Steen, which everybody looks at me and they're like, "Steen, what the hell is that?" It's Chenin Blanc, and they didn't even know it was Chenin Blanc. It was just something that was there for years. They were making wine out of it, and they originally thought, one of the first books that I was learning wine from was from back in the late 70s, and they thought that Steen was actually some sort of maybe Sauvignon Blanc clone, and it turned out to be Chenin Blanc.
Chenin Blanc.
And it's one of the most widely planted grapes in all of South Africa. You know, so it's really just a cool, fun stuff like that. And I was privileged enough to go to China back in 2007,
Okay.
and their region outside of Beijing is on the same latitude as Bordeaux. So they're growing Cabernet and stuff like that there, and
Oh wow.
they were super excited. You know, when I was there, they're like, "Oh, sommelier!" They're crowded around me at the restaurant. You know, I had a translator with me, and they were telling me about their wines and how proud they were. And I was kind of like, you know, I didn't want to like make faces or anything if they brought me out some suspect wine.
Right.
But I said, okay, you know, yeah, let's try some things. Let's try, because I think I ordered a French wine. They were big in Bordeaux, you know, liking Bordeaux. So I said, okay, yeah, bring out the wine, and you know, we'll try some. And they came out and they poured me some, and the wine was good. That was back in 2007. But they're making it. I mean, what they make doesn't leave China. You know, it's not like they're going to export it, because they're drinking it all. There's more people there. You know what I mean? So that's what's fun about that part of it. And you know, there's a lot of places like that. Last week I talked about Pinot Noirs from Germany. People are like, they didn't know that they grew Pinot Noir in Germany. Oh, here we go. First round here. All right, Chef, you want to tell us
what's going on tonight, guys? Welcome. Thank you, Tom, for having us. This is our Walu Crudo, guys. If you guys never had this before, definitely it's one to go for. We just had it on the menu for a couple months. Highly recommended. It goes great with the wine. So it has a lot of Peruvian flavors in here. Has a nice smoky flavor with the smoked avocados, jalapenos, a little bit of sweetness from the red onions, and and a nice touch of some bagel seasoning just to give it that nice salty fish sauce as well. And it's a great balance with the dish. So this is a highly recommended dish with this great wine. That's from New Zealand, right, Tom?
New Zealand.
And it's a great pairing.
Now tell them about waffle, because when we first started talking about it, I
Right.
thought you said waffle, so I was like, I'm used to that.
No worries.
And then you're like, no, waffle. And then you guys started explaining to me a little more about it. So
You can find it here in the Keys, but it's a rare occasion you can find it. They're definitely cold water fish from Hawaii. Here you'll call it oil fish a lot, but you definitely want to eat it from a colder water. But you don't want to eat too much of it. You know what I mean? It can get you a little bit stomach trouble, but it's very good for you. Definitely highly recommended. But like I said, don't eat too much of it.
That's awesome.
Please enjoy, guys.
So now we're going to try this, and what we talked about was getting the flavors right
Yes,
with
sir.
New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc is just it can wipe stuff out. It really does a lot of dishes, especially down here in the Keys. A lot of the traditional places, the Meunières and,
Oh, yeah,
and stuff like
capers.
the caper stuff. This wine is freaking wow.
Yeah.
It would just
Oh, yeah.
blow it up, and you'd be like eating nothing, like eating paper. So we want it with flavors, and you guys are the king of flavors here when it comes to your food.
Thank you.
So I'm
Thanks.
excited about. And what all do we have on this?
So you have some, like I said, some sweet onions. You have some torch avocados, some torch jalapenos, and then you have some bagel seasoning just to give it up. And then we have some black lava sea salt, and the sauce is a Peruvian yellow pepper sauce.
Okay.
And the green you see is Matacumbe microgreen from our good friend Jonathan Limbeck.
Nice.
Rest.
Yeah, he does great stuff.
Oh, great stuff, man. Great fresh flavors around town. So yeah, please enjoy, guys.
All right,
Thank you.
awesome. So
Dig
we're
in,
gonna
dig in.
Jump right into this one.
This is one of those dishes that you want to try to get all of these ingredients into one bite. So if you come and you try this and you ask for a fork, we will not judge you at all whatsoever.
I'm trying to get it all.
Yes.
Mm.
Mhm. Amazing. Wow.
I mean, you see how the wine goes from that big, vibrant, slap you around in the
Yes,
face
sir.
a little bit to
Mellows
it
it.
mellows it down, and it really balances out everything that we're trying to. The reason we're pairing it.
Exactly.
It's just-
Exactly.
that's delicious.
Thank you. Yes, you can't get enough of this. Like I said.
I'm going for another round of this one. Usually I try to wait a little bit and then see what else we got going on. But this is a great pairing.
Which there are a couple of other options as, in our bite section, which is our sashimi platters that we have white fish that would go with it. I think that another one that we have is a cold smoked black grouper,
Okay.
phenomenal torched. But then again, this is just the perfect one for it.
And you guys do a lot of things with smoking,
We do.
and this is really fascinating. You tell them a little bit about.
So the cold smoked black grouper is something that Chef Junior handles. We also make some other ones like as part of Chef Drew's smoking section. We have the pork dumplings. They come in a jar, right? And then we put a little pop in the jar. So they're 5 fried pork dumplings with a special Asian sauce on there, and then we smoke it with some wood chips, so you can get that flavor. Just a little bit, and it's just a very small time frame.
Sure.
So from the time that it goes from the kitchen to the time that if anybody sees it on that line, you drop what you're doing and you take it out to the table.
Okay.
It's time sensitive. So then you bring it over to the table, and as you open up that lid, just those aromas on the table, it blows everybody away.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's a lot of fun.
It's
I was laughing because I saw it says Chef Drew's smoking section. I was like, what does this mean?
It's just the impressiveness. Now the other one is a smoked octopus salad as well, which you have your small chunks of octopus, which are already cooked, so we just lightly flash fry them, so we can get a little bit of crunch around it, and then some mixed greens, the anchovy vinaigrette. I'm telling you, it's amazing. So then as that comes out as well, we take it out to the table, we put it on a plate. We bring out a plate, excuse me, and then we shake it around to get all of the dressing on there.
Okay.
And then we just open it up and dump it into the plate itself. And
That's a killer
oh,
presentation.
it is.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
This is great. I mean, I can pull up. Bring some.
Dig in. So it's a Peruvian yellow pepper called ají amarillo with a sauce also known as leche de tigre. Now it's not actual tiger's milk, but
Right.
that process itself, it's like one of those, if you know how to make it. But that's what really makes this dish itself. So, and you can. This one is also a good option that even chef has recommended with wahoo,
Okay.
another whitefish, phenomenal. And or when available, we try to get in fresh bluefin every week.
Okay.
You can make that in with bluefin as well. So you just tell them that you wanted the crudo style, and we can always make that as well, other than the wallet.
Nice. That wall was fantastic.
Thank you.
I mean, it's really a treat. We were trying to figure out which things to pair, and I looked at the menu, and I was like, I picked a handful of things. I sat down with Chef Junior and Chef Emilio, and we're like, okay, so what? Here's some of my ideas, but I gave them the description of the wine and what I thought was going to work with it, and then they basically said, all right, I think I picked 3 different rolls out, and they said, this is the one we're going to go with. And then this dish wasn't. I didn't even pick this one. They said this is the first thing you need to try, which is freaking spectacular. I mean, when you talk about, like I said, this is such a hard wine to pair with, and to be able to. I mean, it just brought the level of the wine down and made it really well balanced, and it just accentuated the food. It's an exceptional pairing,
And again, it mellows out the avocado that's on here.
yeah, the avocado, even the jalapeno doesn't even. You know, a lot of times with spicy foods, especially with white wine, it just wrecks it. You know, it just really does, red or white. You know, so there's certain wines like Red Zinfandel can hold up sometimes to a spicier food, but there's other ones that just don't work very well. And this was just lights out. So that's awesome. Congratulations to the team on this one.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, we got next here. Let's see what we talked about. These guys are putting together the next course for us, and I go through all my fun stuff. I think I was talking about something before we brought the food out. Barbaro. I mean, just the fact that the region has really put themselves on the world map with the Sauvignon Blanc. It's fantastic. They make great Pinot Noirs too. Their Pinot Noirs are a little bit lighter and balanced and more streamlined. It's the best way I can describe them. You know, you get the ones from Burgundy, which have a lot of mushroomy and dense flavors. You go to Sonoma, and they're big. You know, everybody thinks of what's the big popular one?
Sonoma Couture.
No,
That's a Chardonnay.
Sonoma Couture does a decent Sauvignon Pinot Noir also, but Meiomi. So everybody sees Meiomi in the stores,
I see
and
that.
it's not even Pinot Noir. I mean, it's a Pinot Noir, but it's more like a medium bite. It's more like a Merlot because they add the juice to it, whatever they do, and it's just a different style. But you look at that style that was coming out of Sonoma for a while. The Pinot Noir was very rich and very dense there, unlike what was coming from Bordeaux or from Burgundy. And then you go up to Oregon, and then Oregon style was very similar, very, very similar. And we find some stuff coming out of New Zealand, which was a little bit lighter, a little bit leaner, but very clean and nice notes to it. So I mean, they're doing that very well there that are quality, high quality.
Right.
And you know, it's just every region. Obviously, any wine that's a little bit different and a little bit fun.
Correct.
And it's an art. It really is. I mean, you have wineries right next door to each other, basically harvesting grapes on the same style, same soils. They're hundreds of yards apart, and their wines are different because they fermented at a different, temperature, or they oak age it longer, or they barrel age it then oak age it, or
Correct.
whatever their process is. So it's just a really fun.
That's why I like trying them all.
Yeah, and so do I.
You don't know. You don't know what you're gonna get in a bottle. So as long as you try it. I've had some people who don't like specific type of wines, and I introduce them to a specific, a particular one, and blown away.
It changes their
Yeah.
mind.
For example, I've had, one of my favorites is the Robert Foley Chardonnay, which is an extremely light Chardonnay, and so if I have it available at the time, I'll so they can try it, and they don't believe me that that's a Chardonnay. And I said, this is amazing. So and then some from Napa, because some people look for some wines from out of country. My favorite Sauvignon Blanc that I've tried is the Heston Vineyards Sauvignon Blanc. Creamy, delicious, just perfect. So, and then, but this one has been our most popular one recently.
Okay.
So,
And like I said, so far, it's lights out in what we're trying it with. So we should have another one coming up next.
international wines is
Where's Chef Emilio at?
Oh, he's coming with the, let's see what their most popular.
Course number 2.
All right.
This is one of our signature dishes. This is the Shima.
Plaza 88.
Oh, excuse me, we're at Shima, the Plaza 88. It got me nervous, excuse me. So in the middle is spicy tuna. It's actually spicy bluefin tuna, thank you very much. So we have a special today. We did an earlier video here with bluefin tuna cutting. So this is a spicy bluefin mix in the middle with jalapeno, and then on the top is a torched wahoo, with avocado, Thai chili sauce, and octopus squid ink topingo. So it's finished with shiso. We feel like this pairs very well with this wine because of the sharpness and spiciness of the roll. So it should cut through and pair beautifully with it.
Awesome. We're looking forward
Please
to
enjoy,
it.
okay?
Thank
Thank you very much.
This is going to be like none other. Spicy bluefin in here. Yes, clean the palate, sir.
Yep. And that's what's nice about wines like that have high acidity like this. It actually cleanses the palate for you. You don't have to have crackers. You don't have to have water. It's doing it for you. So it's awesome. So.
This is our most popular roll, just so that you know. This is when everybody
And this
comes.
is called again?
Plaza 88.
Plaza 88.
Now, this is a special Plaza 88. As we said, it has spicy bluefin inside, so it's going to melt in your mouth. I mean, try it for yourself.
Super excited.
Dig in.
I'm here for a treat.
Oh wow.
Almost makes the wine perfumey. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, when I taste that, definitely.
Wow. That just totally changed the whole the whole
profile
experience.
of it,
The
yeah.
whole profile, the whole
Absolutely.
experience of the wine.
So-
Absolutely.
Every course is going to make definitely. You're going to have a different experience with what you're drinking. Absolutely, and hopefully it's always good. But as you
This
see
was
this,
fantastic. And it, like I said, compared to the last taste that we just did, this is a whole different experience. This taste, the last time the wine came down, this time the wine is kind of exploding and changing. And,
beautiful. And for all of those of you who don't know, this is definitely one of, like I said, one of our most popular roll, if not the most popular roll that we have. Everything in here is, you know, raw fish. You have the tuna, it's seared wagyu,
Okay.
but you know, it's every Tuesday we do have our $10 sushi roll nights, which you can try this one for $10. I mean, you can't beat it.
Wow, that's a killer deal. That's
Yes, sir.
awesome.
Yes, sir.
That's fantastic. This is amazing. And like we were saying, when you're out there, you don't think about your pairings. You know, I mean, a lot of times you pick your favorite wine and then you order your food. But when you're at sushi restaurants, especially you guys have so many layers of complexity to the food that this really just, you know, the wine changes, the food changes, everything does. We've had 2 dishes so far. The wine's acted totally different on both of them.
Yes, sir.
And it's been a great experience on both. I can't stop eating this. So I'm going to do one more.
Go ahead,
until we get
finish
to
it
the next
off.
one.
All yours. All yours. Oh, am I lying? I'm gonna have one more too.
Oh, I know you.
That last one is all yours. Big shout out to you, Mr. Jonathan Lindback. These microgreens are amazing. Definitely finish off our entrees with a unique flavor. Just amazing. Like, there's another roll that we have, the Island Crunch Futamaki, with some of the cilantro microgreens on there. It makes a different roll. It really does. It just has the flavors.
These microgreens are incredible.
They really are.
And Jonathan, I know you. These are awesome. Thank you very much. It's just the whole experience. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, when you're going out, food and wine, you really want to have it as you know, the whole experience of it. You know, and this is just really, this has been great. Flip over here. While we're waiting for the next course, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Raise the Bar. And the Raise the Bar, it's an online training program for people who are enthusiasts, or for hospitality people, or even people in the retail, you know, end of things, who are working with beer and wine to get people to find what they like, you know, and that's what it's all about. When they come into your restaurant, you want to have all of your staff be able to communicate effectively, like what we just did.
Absolutely.
I mean, for them to tell the guests about this combination, people are going to walk out of here tap dancing and telling their friends about it. You know, I mean, that's what it's all about, and that's why, you know, I've got a class that I've designed, that I've been teaching for 30 years, that I put into an online program, and it takes about an hour, and it's just something that, there's 2 editions of it. There's one for people in the business who are the ones serving the wine and food, and then other people who are just enthusiasts. You like to go out with your friends, and you kind of want to know what the sommelier or the wine steward's talking about,
Right.
you know? So you want to make it, you know, I think a couple weeks ago I had one of the locals here, Millie, on, and she said, you know, it's nice to go out with a friend who knows something about, you know, wine and, you know, and beer when you're out for dinner, because they can communicate and they can pick something nice for the whole table. She goes, it's nice to be that person. So she's actually taking my course right now.
That's
So I'm going to
amazing.
check in with her in a few weeks to see what she thinks of the enthusiast course and how it's working for her, you know. And we were exploring a lot of things. She was there tasting Carmenere with me, and you know, we're talking about the Lost Grape Carmenere, and she's like, I don't even know what this is. This is cool. This is fun.
I've never heard of it.
So Carmenere used to, in Bordeaux, you think of the 5 Bordeaux grapes, right? Cabernet, Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, and Malbec.
Correct.
There used to be a 6th grape called Carmenere that was, when all the travels were going back and forth, it was brought to Americas, to Chile, And then in the 1870s, we gave a gift back to Europe from travels in a root louse called phylloxera that destroyed the vineyards in Europe. So they had to come back to the States, the United States or wherever else, and get rootstock from us, which is the rootstock was called St. George, I believe, and they had to take it back there and graft their vines onto the rootstock that were impervious to the root louse. So it's just a really crazy thing that happened. And they had to replant all their vineyards. They lost all their vineyards. Most, like I think it was 85 or something % of the vineyards got wiped out all over Europe.
Tragic.
In the 1990s, the Chileans were releasing these Merlots into the world market that were just unique and different. And everybody was like, maybe this is the next space, the next region for Merlot.
Right.
And about 2 or 3 years later, they found out that it was actually the lost grape Carmenere that was the 6th Bordeaux grape that was found in Chile, and it had adapted, and it was making these medium-bodied wines similar to Merlot, but with all these different characteristics. So that's where they really stepped onto the national market. So Carmenere was a fun, something. So Millie and I were talking about it. She's like, I don't know what this is, but it's cool, So we're having fun with it. So she's taking the course. I'm going to bring her back on in a couple of weeks, and we're going to talk about what her experience was with it. And I've been working with a lot of local area restaurants, and I'm actually starting to launch it, nationwide for people to give it to their staff. It's inexpensive. You can do it as part of your onboarding, and make sure all your staff is talking, to the customer the way you'd want, the way you would. Not as good as you, but at least they're, they're coming across professionally, not saying, I don't know.
A little bit more confident, when they're coming to the table and they ask them, hey, what would go good with this, or at least what is a good type of wine that I'm looking for, and instead of saying, hey, let me go find Chirot.
So it saves you some time.
It saves me some time. It's great for them to be knowledgeable on it. So like I said, it all brings a lot of more confidence as well.
And we're going to have your staff working on this program. I've got them all set up for you guys, so that'll be some fun things. And it's all about education, and that's what a Grape Guy Consulting is. For those of you who are checking us out, and my whole goal, and it's been my goal for 30 years now, is to just get people educated. Those of you who've known me, I've been teaching classes and doing food and wine pairings, doing everything I pretty much can to get people to that point. And it's not just my staff or restaurant staff, but it's everybody. I mean, I think it's such an amazing, gift that we have here to be able to pair food and wine and have the experience get elevated that much more. Because you think about it, you go out, you try good food, you're like, this is awesome. You're drinking it with whatever you're drinking. Yeah, it's okay. But then you get to the point where you're trying it with something that works really well, and then now all of a sudden, like I'm going to eat this last one before they bring out the next one.
It's for a better experience, absolutely.
It's just fantastic, and that's what it's all about. I mean, when you're going out and spending your money in a restaurant, don't you want to know what you should be eating and drinking together? I mean, I do. I got spoiled. Somebody turned me on to it in my 20s, and I got gray in my beard now, and I love it. It's just, that's what I do. I mean, I'll go out and look for beer or wine that's going to work with my whatever I'm eating. And I don't stay to the same thing. It's just fun. So I'm going to try this one here, and then we should be getting ready for the next round here. Yeah, hibachi kama, I think it's nice.
Oh man, the hamachi kama. Some
You want to tell us about that? Just let's talk about that before it comes out.
So the hamachi kama is one of those dishes that it's one of those if you know, you know.
Okay.
So, and it's not for everyone, but I think I would encourage people to at least try it once in their life. You might love it. It's not for everybody as it has different textures in there. So the hamachi kama hamachi is a yellowtail amberjack. It is a Pacific fish. So when you say yellowtail, when you come to a sushi restaurant, you're not getting yellowtail snapper. It's not
right.
That a lot of people think. It's a huge misconception that when I say, hey, it's yellowtail, I think they're getting snapper. Which, if it's handled properly, if it's sushi grade, yes, you can have yellowtail snapper raw, but not what down here is extremely popular. That you're not going to have that raw.
No.
So it's the collarbone part of the hamachi. So what it is then we prepare it, we broil it, right? We put it in the oven, we glaze it, and it's served with a little bit of sushi rice, which other sushi rice has high quality ingredients as well, which is gluten free, and heirloom tomatoes. It's glazed, by the way, on top, so glazed, and with some shishito peppers. It's an amazing dish. It really is.
And I saw the shishito in there, and I was like, this could be kind of fun because I think when I think shishito peppers, I think it will work extremely well with New Zealand. Spiced with New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs. I think they're almost. It's something that like the jalapenos we had. Just it didn't kick you. It didn't. A lot of times you have jalapeno and you have wine, and it's like wow. It's like oh my god.
It lingers around a little bit longer, but it doesn't.
And they fight each other. This way, I think we're going to find something that's going to really, again, just work well together and just get excited.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm excited about that one.
Yeah. So next week, I think we're going to skip a week on the spring wine. We're almost at the end of it. I think we're going to go next week, and I may have an opportunity to try a 40-year-old first growth Bordeaux. So that might be a really fun thing. I'll let you know. I've got an opportunity to maybe try one and do it on. We're going to actually, if I can get it, we're going to do a slow decant to it.
Yes.
The traditional decant. I mean, decanting, and that's another thing we can talk about. Decanting has like two different purposes. One, with young wines, you want to either decant it like a flash decant or aerate the wine,
right? Because
you want the wine to open up quickly. And I remember the first time I did a flash decant for a customer. We had the old school, decanters.
Like a vase, yeah.
Exactly. And I took the bottle and I turned it upside down into the thing, and it's splashing around. And they were looking at me like it was $180 bottle of wine, and I got the thing upside down. It was a Napa cab, and it needed some air and oxygen because it was way too tight. And I had that thing in there, and then I took it after I put it down, and I swirled it around.
Oh, you guys got that? Oh, shit.
That's okay.
Breaks complete.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sure. So this one's a machi kama.
All right, let's get the chef's take on this one.
So this one's a color of the hamachi. You can get a lot of people do this dish with grouper as well and salmon. But this is a great dish with the wine, the finishing dish, or is a starter dish. It's a Pacific fish, for you can have it from California or Japan. Very delicious. We marinate it in miso glaze, and then we just add some salt, some bit of garlic. We do add a little bit of cumin on there, and then we just bake it in the oven. It takes at least 20 minutes to cook, and we finish it off with some teriyaki. Just at the last minute, and we pull it out, add some eel sauce, a little bit of sushi rice, warm sushi rice, a little bit of our Asian slaw, our shishito peppers, and just to finish off, a little bit of heirloom baby tomatoes, a little bit of garnish from my man Jonathan, Matacombe Micros, and enjoy, guys.
Let's see, can
Yeah,
everybody get
put it right up there.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
hot seller.
So remember, you're coming here. This dish, the Plaza 88, which, would you tell me earlier, you sell more Plaza 88 than you sell beverages.
Oh, 100%. Oh, 100%.
I love that.
Oh, man.
That, you said that thing sounds like crazy.
Yeah, it sounds like crazy. You know, we've been open for 3 years. I think we sold maybe 7,000 orders. Just that one. Just that one.
That's awesome.
That's a lot, man. Please enjoy, guys.
All
Thank
right,
you.
awesome. Thank you, Chef.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy.
All right. See that? Look at that. So that's the whole collar part. So you're gonna get a different texture on that than you're gonna get on this
On this
side.
side.
So I
Which side should I
suggest-
start with?
Try this side right here.
This side right
Yeah,
here?
feels like it's a little bit more. See, it's softer, it's a little bit more fatty. Yeah. So if you're looking for a whole cooked meal, this is it. You come to a sushi restaurant and say, "Hey, I don't like sushi," and it's
I don't want to deal with all
I
this
don't wanna
other.
get-
I don't want to pick up my chopsticks.
so this is definitely one of them. We have a couple of award-winning entrees as well, like our pork belly fried rice. We did win.
I've had that before.
We did that. We won best entree with that at Island Fest, and again, we're not going to enter this as we don't have ovens out there, but and then the other one was chicken and waffles. So we won best entree.
I actually looked at that and I was like, you know what, chicken and waffle. It was on my list of things to ask
Oh, yeah.
Chef about, and he was just like, first, here's what we're gonna do, and I was like, that's awesome, you guys.
It's not your typical chicken and waffles. It's special ingredients, secret recipe, but I think it's well worth a try.
All right, so I'm gonna start with this part of the collar.
Wow.
Again, it tones it down, but now I'm getting the herbal notes out of the wine because we've got all the other stuff going on. You know, so I'm getting the herbal qualities from the wine, but
A
it's,
little bit more mineral
yeah,
flavors.
and the mineral flavors, definitely.
So we've had 3 different kinds of entrees here, and every single one of them has been different.
Yeah, and it made the wine taste totally different, which, see, that's what's exciting. That's what, for me, when I got into the business back in the Stone Ages, it was trying these different wines with food and seeing how things, it was just an exciting experience. You know, and that's what it's all about. We're trying some of the shishito pepper now.
But as part of the dish, it's not like when you get it an appetizer and you get those slightly spicy flavors. It's completely different when it's composed. When it's composed with
Those would, yes.
It's amazing. This is a great dish, everyone.
Fantastic dish.
We'll try the more meatier part over here. Looks like chicken.
That's what I'm doing next. So we're gonna go to the meatier part, try it again, and
Feel some of that green apple.
yeah,
Definitely get that green apple taste in there.
just a fun experience, and that's why I think people should be. You know, when you're going out to eat, you get something like this, you sit down and you have an experience. It's about having an experience. So many people come in, they eat like, you know, like it's substance.
Yep.
It's like that's not what it's about. It's about like trying all these flavors, these amazing flavors that we get. These guys studying for years that we, as front of the house people, because I grew up as a front of the house person, like you.
Yeah.
We're the ones that get to turn people onto it, and tell them about it, and get our staff to turn people on. Say, try this with this, do this with that. And it really, this is,
Which is great. That's how I learned to really know and ask about more about the entrees. So 2014, I got out of the Marine Corps. I was doing something completely different. I was an artillery mechanic. And from there, I moved down here in the Keys. And that's when I started being in the food industry, in hospitality. And I started as a food runner and a bar back. So at that point, I was not talking to people, serving drinks or any of that, but I learned everything from the back end. You know, so I learned every drink that we had, and then I learned what kind of food was coming out. And the more you see it coming out, you start to learn what dish is what, because you have to see what ingredients are in the dish, and you're like, okay, that's this, that's that, or you know, that's a specific dish, but it's been modified. You can just tell right away.
sure.
You know, because it's not how it was recommend, or you know, as it was in the menu.
Sure.
So, but it's great, and then learning from that. I've been doing this for 11 years now, and honestly, it's still a short amount of time, but I've learned a lot.
Well, you can learn a lot. I mean, I learned a lot of my stuff in my 20s from the time I was 22 years old to 30 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, I went from being a managing bartender to owning my first restaurant and getting my sommelier certification and being a beverage manager and all these little things in between. I cooked. I've done. I've been a grill cook for a little bit before that. A few other things, but
Many hats.
You try all those different things, but you also, like I said, in a short period of time, when you're immersed into it, it's an amazing experience. I mean, I've been in the business since I was 16. I was washing dishes at a country club, and then I started learning. And I was in college. I was a grill cook, flipping burgers, and
You built on that.
went from there.
Yeah, you
And-
started building that.
But it's always been about the experience, whether it's been at an Italian restaurant, learning about those things, or even, I have a burger restaurant now, and we pair stuff with the different burgers. I mean, it's
The best.
just fun stuff like that. It's just the whole experience of everything. It's just trying this with a beer, this with one. About 15 years ago, maybe longer, I created an event here in the Keys called the Beer versus Wine Day. And I would have a chef put together a 5-course meal, and I would bring in a brewmaster to pair a beer with each course, and a wine specialist to pair a wine with each course. And then for the dinner, everybody would get a beer and a wine with their each course,
Right.
and they would vote on which one went better, the beer or the wine.
Did the wine win? Because that's what I'm
The
voting for.
wine won every single time we did it. Wine won 3-2 of the 5 courses. 2 of the courses were still the brewers were able to influence people enough, and we had people saying, "I don't drink beer, or I don't drink wine." Same thing with a lot of guys,
Right.
like, "I don't drink wine." So it was really fascinating on how people voted and what the experience was. But it opened everybody's eyes that you can pair these. I mean, they'd get a black beer and they'd be like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to try that," and they'd be tasting it with their steak or whatever they were what was created, and they went, "Oh my gosh, this is pretty good. This is cool." So just fun stuff like that. But that's what it's all about. I mean, it's all about the experience.
It's all about having an open mind and just trying new things. Exactly. Trying to do new different wines. Not gonna lie to you, this is something new to me. I have been, just I wouldn't try an international wine for the life of me. People ask me about international wines, and I was totally against them. And it was just all about domestic wines. Domestic wines from Oregon, from Napa, and that's just. But the more people asked me, that's why I said, you know what? They have to be asking me for a reason, okay? And a lot of my most popular wines have to be, have to be international wines. The ones that I do have and we do carry here at the restaurant, and I will be astonished. Like Marlborough, I have a couple of them from. I even have a Chardonnay. It's a light Chardonnay. It's a single vineyard estate, and it to me doesn't taste like a Chardonnay. I thought that I honestly thought we thought for a second that they packaged it wrong, and it was a Sauvignon Blanc.
Right.
I promise.
And it's more of a a Burgundian, almost like a Chablis style. You think about Chablis, where they don't put the Chardonnays on oak, and it's drier, cleaner style.
Yeah.
People just don't think about that. I mean, in America, we think of Kendall Jackson and the big oaky,
Correct. Yeah.
buttery style wines.
And I'm sorry, I remember it's called Clark Estate. It's also from Marlboro.
Okay.
Clark Estate Vineyards, yeah. But yeah, you're right, 100%. So
But this has been fun.
it really has.
And I want to thank you guys for having me here. And,
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sitting with me.
We're definitely we're located right next to Meat, everybody. I know it's in a little corner everywhere, right in front of Marker 88. Come and visit us. Reservations are highly recommended, as there are days that we just don't know what to expect. We're a very small place, so we would like to get everybody in, and we'd like to
Now, this
make
makes
sure
it look
that
bigger here, but
it does. Yeah. We have a limited amount of seating, so we just want to make sure that we can sit everybody and experience Shima. Hopefully you have a great Shima experience, and hopefully we can do this again.
I want to thank, like I said, thank all of you for watching again. Like I always say, it's fun to just explore great wines, pair wines with food, and have great company. And that's what life's all about. And that's what I've done tonight, this evening. And next week I'll be back and I'll let you know what's going on. If I can get that old Bordeaux, we'll be tasting that and doing a pairing with that. And actually, I'm not going to even do a pairing with it. I'm actually going to show how to decant an old wine. So if you want to do that, we'll do old school if I can get it. Otherwise, I'll push it out a week or two. And we've only got another week or two of spring wine series before we go to summer wine series. And that'll be fun again. We're going to do some wines that are lighter, easier. When it's hot, what do you want to have? You don't want a big Cabernet. This is good. This is definitely one that'll work with a lot of things. But we're going to go even lighter than this. I'm going to be showing some of the lighter Sauvignon Blancs for the summertime. I'm going to be showing some Vino Verdes. We talked a little bit about that.
You did bring that one.
Yeah,
You showed me that one.
so we'll have some fun wines like that. In fact, I've got one in the back that just brought in. And we'll go from there. But anyway, thanks everybody for checking us out and joining us today. And if you get a chance, definitely come to Shima. Get the Sauvignon Blanc, the New Zealand style, with the food here. Exceptional. And keep learning. That's what it's all about. Go to the website aggc.info if you want to learn more about the different events that I'm doing, online stuff right now. We'll be putting a lot of these into a program where you can go in and learn from these little weekly events that we do. And you can get on the emailing list there, or just follow us on Facebook or Instagram. We will be moving towards TikTok if they don't close it down. I'm not even sure what's going on with that thing, because I think everything's okay with that. But we'll be doing a little switcheroo on that pretty soon and getting that going. But just looking forward to seeing everybody every week. So thanks again. Sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it.